Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another episode of our podcast that is about board games and is sponsored by Gray Fox Games. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's been hot, and the studio is getting warmer in anticipation of actually having bodies in here again.
I forget, did we ever need the standalone air conditioner in there, or we were fine with just the AC that you had in the house?
We never found out.
Yeah, we never used it or needed it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Well, because I don't know if we had a full summer of studio.
Well, it was August when we started.
Yeah, I guess it was. I remember it getting pretty toasty in here. We had fans going at one point.
I remember that, yeah, and I remember it being like a loud fan, and I was like, "Come on, we need."
Well,
to...
you know, you do what you got to do. It wasn't as it's not as noticeable for streams. The stream audio doesn't pick up the fans as much,
right?
But the podcast, these podcast mics, they pick up everything.
Everything.
But anyhow, let's talk about some board games on this board gaming podcast, starting with what we've been playing, because holy shit, not only have every single one of us actually played a board game, Zach and Jeff didn't play only the same games. They actually have unique and interesting things to talk about, each on their own.
And Adrian played something.
And I played a game. So I will be the middle of this because mine's going to be the most lackluster. So let's start with Zach. We haven't got to start with Zach in ages. Zach, what have you been playing?
So I'll just talk about the ones that I played, and then Jeff can get into ones that, because we did both play a game still. It wasn't completely separate, but so on Sunday, we went to Paul's. I went to Paul's to play games. Jeff was supposed to be there, but then he had to quarantine because apparently someone he was in contact with had COVID or something like that.
A
driver.
Yes.
Gotcha. So he played it safe, stayed at home, and so it was just Paul, Thursby, and I. And as Jeff so rightly brought up in the text letting us know that he was going to self-quarantine, now is the time, Thursby, now is the time for Viticulture.
The running theme of always recommending to play Viticulture.
But never having, like, always wanting to plan for it versus just to
do it.
The will,
yeah. So it was just the three of us, and we decided to play it. So we, Paul has the Essential Edition of Viticulture, and he has the Tuscany expansion as well. And that one just adds a bunch of different modules to it. So if you don't remember, this is a game about making wine. I
remember it was famously, replaced by
Vinos.
Vinos.
By Vinos,
just
yes.
because Vinos existed.
Yeah,
correct.
But this is by Stonemaier Games, right? This is I want to say it was one of the first Jamie Stegmaier games.
I think it was definitely one of the early ones, yeah.
Yeah. But on this one, it's a worker placement game. You have your own little vineyard estate thing, and you go through, you get wine, or you get grapes, you put them on vines, and then you turn them into like a mash thing, and then that turns into wine. So how this game plays is it's over 4 seasons, right? So you have start with spring, so spring, summer, fall, and winter. There are a series of worker placement spots that you can go to there, and most of them are unique to that specific season. So you can draw grape cards from there, or you can in summer you can plant them, and then in fall you can harvest them to turn them into the mash thing, and then you can use those to turn into wine. And then at the end of in winter, you can sell them, right? There are other spots that you can do outside of that, because not only are you drawing the grape cards, but you're also drawing orders, which, it means like, if you turn in like 8 of red wine and then a 2 white wine, because there's 2 different types of wines that you can have. Well, let me rephrase that. There's 2 different types of vines you can have, or grapes, and then you can use those to turn them into red wine, white wine, like a rosé I think they call it a blush in there, and then sparkling wine or bubbly wine. You can get cards that will get you victory points by turning in, specific types of wine. And then there are also cards that are basically visitors that are coming to hang out at your vineyard, and then they help you out in a couple different ways. And it's like, oh, I will, like, you can buy something for cheaper, or you can gain money, or you can like lose victory points to have something happen. Right? There are just a wide variety of things. There's they come in the summer and they come in the winter, and the winter ones can be fairly powerful.
Okay.
And like one of them I had was like you could harvest the grapes, or you could make wine, or you could lose 1 victory point to do both. And that's like 2 fairly big actions that are bigger than doing it from the worker placement spot themselves. And you get to do it like as just playing a card. So the interesting thing, or there's a couple interesting things in here, but one of them is that like you have like 4 workers. No, you start with about 3 workers, and then you can earn up to 6 throughout the game. Is that each when you go through like spring, you can play as many workers as you want. So it's like I play 1, you play 1, Jeff plays 1, and I could play 1 again, or I could choose not to play any because I'm placing my 3 workers throughout the entire year. So if I could, if I wanted to, play all 3 of mine in the spring. I just am not doing anything for the rest of the year, right? So you're trying to plan which sort of spots you want to do, but it's sort of timed. And so you're going through, you're doing that, and then turn order is based on this track. Now, we played with the extended board from the Tuscany expansion, and what that did is turn order. If you remember, oh god, what's that game called? Last Will.
Yes.
Okay. So the turn order on that one, if you remember, like which one you chose, you got special things by like you're going here, so you get extra stuff, right? So this one had similar things, but it was tied to each of the seasons. So if you say you chose like the 3rd spot on the in summer, you get like an extra green card, which are the grapes, and then in fall you get an extra yellow card. But then you don't get anything for winter. But if you chose like the 7th spot, in summer you get an extra worker, and then in fall you get 1 of any card that you want. But then in winter you have to choose the 1st spot, which you don't get any bonus, but you get to go first. And why the turn order matters outside of just those is that a lot of the spots of the worker placement spots have bonuses that are tied to where you play, right? So if you place first in the draw plant cards, you will get a bonus of getting to draw an extra card. So instead of drawing 1, you're drawing 2. But a lot of the spaces have the bonus on the 2nd spot. So if you go there first, then you're letting the next person who goes get that extra bonus. So on one of the spots for playing cards in summer, you go there first, you get an extra money, but if you go there second, you get to play an extra card. So a lot of it is trying to plan around, like, not just how to get the bonus from you, but how to not let your opponents get too many bonuses. Because that was one thing that I think ended up helping Paul a lot, was that he was the second person a lot in a lot of those scenarios. Now, there are some ways to mitigate that, and specifically with the Tuscany expansion, they added special workers that you could buy or train. And the 2 that we played with, one was the farmer, and his ability was wherever you placed, you could then choose the bonus of anything in that, in that area, even if you weren't on it. So if you place first, you can still get that bonus of playing an extra card or whatever if you wanted.
Okay.
But then there was also another worker she was called the Messenger, I think, and that one let you choose, instead of placing it on your current season, you could place it in a future season. And so basically you're just calling dibs on that one spot, right? Now you have to place it on the farthest left, so you couldn't just get exactly which one you wanted. But like near the end of the game, the spot, like when we were playing with 3 players, there were only 2 spots available, and the first 2 actions that Paul and I did on the last turn was we took our messengers and we placed it in the fill order for the wine spot, because we didn't want to get we didn't want to get to lose out on it, but we also wanted to block Thursby from it. Now we do have like a lot of these styles of games, like there's a grande worker that lets you go there
like
even
most
if
Stonemeyer stuff. Really.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the grande worker that lets you go there even if it's full, so that you're not, truly screwed. Because especially if like you tried to play this with 6 people, I couldn't even imagine. Now I know it expands some and it gives you a couple, like an extra slot or 2, but like
Still.
yeah. That was one thing that I remember Paul joking about, is like, I can't even imagine Adrian trying to play this game and getting how many times he would get pissed off by that. Like, but I wouldn't want to play that game with 6 players. So it looks like there's a couple different strategies when you're playing this. Like one is you're trying to get your wine like, one, you're trying to just be like the barefoot wine people, and you're just trying to make cheap wine and then, send them out constantly. Others, you're trying to get like the expensive ones, or you're trying to make like cheap ones, but any wine that you don't use at the end of the year ages, and so it goes up in value. So you could just get a bunch of it and have it sort of age for a little while to fulfill the higher valued cards that you'd get. So
Okay.
Where does your urban wineries fit in?
Unfortunately, I didn't see any urban spots out there just yet. I'm sure that's just the next expansion, right?
Right around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner. Yeah, you couldn't put it in cans or anything like that. So
no canning process.
No canning process. It was. I mean, I can see the appeal to it. It did have some interesting, like there was like this whole area controls about like regions of like Tuscany area that like also played into it, but I didn't really do much. Like I ended up getting last on this one, but I was just more of like feeling out the game necessarily. Not to say I wasn't trying to win or anything, but I could see where like, where you could get the different strategies at, and it was an interesting enough game, but I'm also like the theme making wine doesn't really appeal to me in this one, and I think there's just other worker placements I still would rather play, but I did enjoy it more to Vinos from what I remember. But that's but that's also mainly because I really don't like, because I'm sure every time I remember us playing Vinos, Adrian, the amount of actions I had in the game keeps shrinking down. Because I just in my mind, I'm like, I remember I could only do like 9 things in the entire game.
It's 12.
Yeah, like I said, it keeps shrinking down, and I'm sure the next time I remember, like at some point, it's gonna be like, Vinos, yeah, it's a horrible game. You can only do like 1 thing, and then that's the game.
It's like checkers.
Exactly.
Russian roulette.
Well, yeah, Russian roulette's more accurate.
Yeah.
It's
just rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. You get one trigger, yeah. But yeah, it was interesting, and I can see why people like it. It just I wasn't that big a fan of it. Anything more than, I feel like most of the Stegmaier games that I've played. Like I remember not being a fan of. I can't even remember Euphoria.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't that big a fan of that one. Unsurprisingly, you do have stars in this game because it is a Stegmaier game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I can see the appeal, but not for me.
Okay.
This would be the first game he had his name on. Euphoria closely followed by, and then it was like Scythe Tapestry.
Okay.
I think he did something else in between them. I feel like, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So after that, we decided to play. We had like 2.5 hours, and we were like, "Hey, why don't we just bust up?" No. Oh yeah, Charterstone. Yeah,
He did Charterstone in between.
He did. Yep. Yeah. There we go. I was like, I knew there was something in there.
There was.
Which I also was not that big a fan of.
Yeah.
So far, worker. So would you call Scythe a worker placement?
Yes.
Okay. So it's either 0 for 3 or 0 for 4. I don't think they're all bad games. So far, it just haven't really clicked with me. But after that, we decided to bust out Arkham Horror real quick. Because like we said, we had 2.5 hours or so. And surprisingly, we were able to finish it within a reasonable amount of time. I think it ended up being after setup, like including setup, about 2 hours and 45 minutes. It was the 4th scenario from the big expansion, Under Dark Waves. I think that one.
Yeah,
but
that sounds right.
It was Tyrants of Ruin.
Ruin.
Ruin, yes. Was the final one I hadn't played yet. And honestly, like it's one of those ones that it was enjoyable, but it just like it would definitely be like middle or lower middle of the pack. It could have just been who we were playing with in terms like the characters we were playing with.
Thursby.
Yeah. No, but like both Paul and Thursby, like within 4 or 5 turns, they both became blessed.
Yay!
Yeah. But it felt like we were just sort of meandering. Like a lot of it was like you're looking for clues. Okay, great, and then you move on to the next one. Hey, all right, you need to look for clues, and then that's going to lead you to some leads, and then you're going to look in those leads and see if you find clues in that, like clues in there, and then you go from there, and finally now you got to fight a boss. But it just felt. I felt like it just didn't have great direction in it.
And this wasn't the one that had like the 4 different paths or whatever? Okay.
No. This one is very deep one centric. Yeah. And I mean, it ended up like we were looking for their relics, and then you find their relics, and then that brings out like the bad guys, and then you have to fight the bad guys and you win. It was one of those ones where we had it under control completely until the very end, and then it just started dogpiling on you, but then we were able to finish it. But I would say it's just one of the lower play. Like I would say it was better than the playthrough when it was between the two gangs.
I never played that one.
Yeah, that one has probably been my least favorite of the ones I've done so far. But this one is sort of a close second. It was all right. They're the other ones I would rather try, especially that branching one that we had seen previously. Or one of my favorites is still from the first expansion about the guy that like eats the board. That one's real cool too.
I don't think I played that one either.
Yeah. All I remember is that Paul he got blessed pretty quickly, and then he was able to get a shotgun, and then he had a spell that let him enchant his shotgun.
I'm going to say shotgun.
Yeah, he did a shitload of damage. And it was like the bad guy came out, and it wasn't like a super bad guy that had like 30 plus health. It had like 13, and we just killed it in 2 turns. And then the other one came out, and we just killed it again in 2 turns. And I was like, okay, well, all right.
Well, now.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the games that we played on Sunday.
Cool.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday. Anyhow, I played a game. I played Age of Steam for the 3rd time in 3 weeks. I got 2nd place. Josh won because Josh is really good at Age of Steam. We played on the Western US map, which is the first time we played on like not the base map that comes with the new deluxe edition.
Rust something?
The
Rust
name Belt is
Rust
the base.
Belts.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing with Western US is the tiles cost more to lay track. So track is more expensive. You do start with a little bit more money to kind of compensate for that, but not much more. And you have to choose to start on either an East Coast city or a West Coast city, and then you must build. In this one, all of your track has to be built contiguous until somebody has linked the East to the West. And then you can build anywhere. Which, with the way the initial layout of cubes went on the board, sucked. There weren't good routes. People were struggling. Poor Boyd was out of the game from, like, the fucking beginning. You know, he spent most of that game just like, hey, I'm playing too, guys. He managed to not go bankrupt, which is always a win in Age of Steam because that's a very possible thing to do. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done with Age of Steam for a little bit. 3 times in 3 weeks was too much. Especially online, considering I don't really like playing games online.
Too much choo-choo.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about too much choo-choo. Certainly too much of that specific brand of choo-choo. It was funny. I had mentioned at one point we were playing on Thursday, and I had mentioned like a little, like I don't know, like an hour before we were supposed to play. I was like, hey, we actually, like, it looks like we're gonna have 5 people. Would anybody be interested in playing Indonesia instead? And that was roundly shot down, including Boyd being like, it's a work night. I don't want to play a 4-hour game. We called Age of Steam 1 round early at 4.5 hours.
Jesus.
Yep. So, which also had a lot to do with my being like, you know, I'm gonna be done with Age of Steam for a little bit. So yeah, like it was fun. It was good. It was an interesting. This one was a lot more of kind of a puzzle of trying to make things work, just because of the absolute dog shit spread of goods to start with. Like it was like all
some
of the
sort
red
of
goods.
chocolate rain.
Yes, chocolate rain. So yeah, Josh is really good at Age of Steam. He's probably one of the better players I've played with, which is frustrating.
You play with worse players, then you'll win more.
Yeah, I need to play with like just 4 Boyds. or Jeff. But yeah, so that was my Age of Steam experience, and that is what I played this week. So, Jeff, we can move right on over to you.
Yeah. I'll start off with the game I played, which I played some solo Marvel Champions because the Guardians of the Galaxy campaign box came out with Groot and Rocket, and I wanted to play them. Rocket is interesting. He has a lot of guns.
That makes sense.
And they all have charges. So when you're putting out these guns, you're using them and spending their charges, and you have like various batteries that you can then use to recharge them, or they'll just get discarded and you'll play them out again.
Okay.
That was kind of his thing. He was like tech. Had tech stuff, kind of like Iron Man, sorta, where he had like a lot of guns and some rocket boots. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy type stuff.
Yeah.
I've just been playing against Rhino because I just want to kind of play with the deck. Groot was very interesting though. It's the most unique character I've played so far. I think they're all fairly unique though, but his was interesting because you have a bunch of growth counters, because he's a tree, and the cards you're playing are increasing or decreasing that amount of growth. So you're either growing, and then you'll be playing cards that are like do X amount of damage equal to your growth tokens, and you can have between 0 and 10.
Okay.
But the more powerful cards will expend those growth tokens. So you're sort of growing, and then expending them, and then growing back up again, and then expending them. And his nemesis was interesting. It's some sort of like giant fire bug or something. That like burned his home planet down, I guess. But like it's like the one firebug, and then it's just a bunch of fire in his nemesis deck. That is his true nemesis to Groot, is fire. I was also extremely entertained by his personal deck and its flavor text, being literally "I am Groot" through the entire flavor text through all of his cards.
Is it like I ... am, or is it always just I am Groot?
It is a variant on I am Groot.
Okay.
So it's like I am Groot. I am ... Groot. There is a We Are Groot in there. And then I think his final card is I am Groot, and then someone is like, yeah, we get it, you're Groot. Like his 15th card. It's another team up. So they each have a Rocket or a Groot in there as an ally. But yeah, it has some cool Guardians of the Galaxy stuff in there, which comic-wise is been fairly different from the movies. So it's neat to see some of that comic side of stuff. But yeah, I I thrashed a rhino multiple times in a bank robbery or vibranium robbery or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, it's got another campaign in there. Still haven't played the last campaign, so sooner or later, there's a lot of Marvel Champions content to get through.
Yes, there is.
And they've already announced a ton more hero packs for Guardians of the Galaxy coming out, and we'll get to that later.
Indeed. So what did you guys play together?
We got another round of Lord of the Rings Journeys through Middle-earth? In Middle-earth?
Throughout, I believe.
Yes.
Journeys throughout Middle-earth.
All up on Middle-earth. We have journeyed all up ons. Where'd we leave off? We had like a spy in a tavern, and I think that's where we left off in that last campaign.
Yes. The one we technically should have lost, but we were like,
yeah, the fire
bullshit. No.
behind the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
And that one we found out.
Hidden fire is nobody's friend.
No. Yes. We found out who like the end campaign boss is going to be. He's a man of the East or South. I don't remember. He's an Easterling or a Southron.
I'm not.
Both-
I'm not
both
going to be help. I'm not going to be help with remembering any of these names. So.
So now we're trying to figure out his plan. He wanted to get a rod. We had to
a scepter.
A scepter. Yep.
The silent scepter.
Yeah, some sort of metal tube.
Tubes?
And so we had to go around and find all these tubes, and then we had to bring them to a lake and then figure out like what was happening to figure out which one was the real one. It was the first one where we had someone die.
Yep.
I died, and then you have to the end of that round to finish the mission or you fail, which we did in literally the very last action.
Yes, it was. And what's funny is that Paul and I, we were both within walking distance of the lake in order to check out, because all three of us had scepters, but then Jeff died.
Yes.
And he failed his last stand.
Yeah, because you get a last stand chance, and you have to make like one success, and then two successes, and then I assume three, etc.
And then that's probably it, I would guess, because once you succeed at once, like the number 2 appears next to a skull, and then if you do it again, like a 1, so I think you get like 3 chances, and then
probably,
that's it.
Yeah. But it's nice because it wipes away all your damage when you succeed.
Well, it wipes away all your face down damage.
Yeah, you just have to have face down damage.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, not all that face up damage that is constantly causing problems.
That's how you get pretty much all your damage.
Yeah,
like my cloak reduces face down damage, but I never take face down damage.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, at least like a lot of the damage you get, like mansions, is like you get it and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. Flip it down, right? So then it becomes face down damage.
Yeah.
But the ones that stay face up are like concussion, where it just reduces your stats, or like dark shadows or something, where you just get a fear every round, and then there's not a way to get rid of that card.
Or you're in darkness every round.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's like, if anyone takes damage from darkness, yourself or nearby, they take an additional one if they take any.
Mm-hmm.
The -1 to like whatever stat test you do super sucks.
Yeah, luckily it's only temporary, because that's the nice thing about concussions is that you get it and then it goes away and it doesn't affect you anymore ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
in our fantasy world, that is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. There's no whatever that thing is called.
Protocols for these kind of injuries.
Yeah. Yep. And then this way, so I have a feeling like a lot of these I've noticed so far have been like, it's not random whether or not you like, because when you find a scepter, you don't know if it was actually the scepter or not until you go to the lake, and it seems like you just have to show it a certain amount of scepters for it to be like, okay, you found it. It's not like tied to which one it is, right? It doesn't know who's doing it.
No.
The app doesn't know who's doing it or which scepter it's tied to, so it just seems like, because we had to find an entrance or an exit later that seemed very much the same thing, of just like, you had to find 4 exits, and then on the 4th one, wherever it was, that was your exit.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the third one that totally bugged out and
Yep.
gave us like a scout patrol encounter instead of like escaping or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
Great.
Which would be not ideal if you were trying to do that as like
No.
your last thing.
Yep.
And there's no undo or go back, which we've mentioned is kind of annoying.
Yes. And now we have basically established when someone asks you, like, what did you get? You have to say, like, confirm 4, because one too many times, you'll be like, how many do you have? And it's like, oh, I have 3? And then,
Boop,
and then you
boop,
type in
3, done.
And then you're like, well, wait, I could do 4, and it's just too late. And then you get you failed. You probably just needed one little more, and you're like, oh, fucking goddamn it.
Yeah.
So.
No, he took damage from the tower tumbling down, but we don't know if the tower would have tumbled down or not.
Yeah.
Based on 3 or 4. He still got the scepter.
But you did. It was sort of like you asked him, and then I was like, oh, it looks like he got 3. And then he typed in 3, and he's like, I could have gone 4, you assholes. And we're like, yeah, well.
There's no undo.
No undo.
So
more protocols now.
Yeah. So we did that scenario, and for once it didn't jump right back into another like combat scenario on the like close up board. It just went to another like we had to escape the valley from all these patrols.
Because we basically went into the valley, into the cave to figure out the scepter thing, and now we had to get out of that area.
Yeah. Which we did. And then did we play one more?
I believe so, yeah. But I don't remember what it was. Oh
no, we didn't.
No. Oh yeah, it was just 2, but they were long. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had a choice of which direction to go, which was our first sort of like choose your own adventure.
Versus having it chosen for you.
Yeah, we had a big guy show up in the middle of that like valley escape, and then we had a choice of like go kill that big guy, or that, and if you do that, it'll weaken the end boss, or just go to the end boss, or something.
Yeah. What was funny too is that the big guy just shows up, and then we just like he had like 23 health and like 4 armor, so
yeah.
it'd be hard to do any damage to him.
Basically, if you did 5 damage, you do 1 damage, because 4 would go to armor, and then 1 would go to his actual health pool.
Yeah, and I'm assuming his attack back would like fuck you up.
Yeah, probably.
But I mean, it does. I have a feeling that if we did enough damage to him, it would weaken him for the next one, or straight up kill him. Who knows? But after a certain amount of time, and he came out because like the orcs like lost
they were
control of him.
Us. Yeah,
yeah, and then so we started running away from him, and right as he got on my square or my space, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to take some sort of damage. Like the text came up of like the orcs finally reined him back in,
yeah,
and brought him back into the cave, and then he disappeared, and I was like, okay, well,
yeah,
that's fine, I guess.
And he's not here anymore. Great.
No. Yep. I have to say I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm liking how much I'm liking the campaign a lot. Like in terms of just the fact that there's a campaign. I still like mansions more in a single scenario setting.
Yeah.
But if they could somehow be tied, that'd be real cool. But with mansions, that would be hard to be like, well, fucking old one comes in here and you sort of beat him, so now let's go on to another scenario. Like, I don't know. I know you can do it in the card game, but I feel like most of the mansion scenarios aren't really built as well for that.
Like,
but
the card game would be more conducive to this style of campaign in like a board game format. Because you go through those leading up, but this has been, 8 missions or so?
No, we've done 6.
6?
We did,
okay.
We did 4 and then 2.
Gotcha.
Yep. We've upgraded to everyone has their second level stuff, and it's
better.
They're getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Fucking Paul now has cleave on his arrows.
Yeah.
More or less. So he can do like 7 damage to anybody in a group, which is ridiculous.
Everyone in a group.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Which will murder the shit out of things.
Yeah. So I would suggest, Adrian, that you and Megan should probably try it out. I think you would like it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we both do really like Lord of the Rings stuff, so I think it would be a really good fit for us.
Well, it ain't cheap.
No.
So I went out and bought the expansion. The big box expansion. And I bought the... What?
I was just gonna say, which adds it adds a lot for an expansion.
It does. It
So.
like doubles the classes, doubles the roles. Maybe not. No, yeah, because each new class has a new role.
Yep.
Which is like 5.
Another scenario. Almost as many tiles.
Another campaign.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, another campaign. Yeah.
A bunch of new tiles, new effects like difficult terrain, bunch of new monsters, a Balrog, and then I went and got the broken token insert for it because it desperately needs an insert that is
Yes,
not
it
a
does.
trench. And I was like, well, broken token sure has one, and I sure bought it. It arrived today,
Oh.
so I'll be putting that together, and then I'll probably be picking up some small card sleeves because that's like your skill cards, and those seem to be getting, shuffled every turn. So,
Correct. Yeah.
getting those in sleeves would probably be conducive to making this game last any amount of time.
Do you see yourself after playing these scenarios, playing it again, Jeff?
I think so. I think there is some variability in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the campaign's pretty long. So,
Yeah.
I'd definitely give it at least one more to see what the variability was.
All right. Cool.
With different classes, of course.
Obviously.
Because they do seem quite different.
I will say this too. We looked up Gandalf on we looked up his cards, and unsurprisingly, pretty powerful.
Yeah. What was his weakness? I don't remember. Anything that had anything to do with might.
Yeah. So a lot of the characters, right? So on your different stats, it goes anywhere from like 2 to 4. So most people have like a 2, 3 3s, and then a 4. Right? No, 2 2s, 2 3s, and then a 4.
Yeah.
But he and then I think Gimli, they both have 2 4s and then 3 2s. So they're either real good or real bad
Yeah.
at something.
Glass cannons.
Yep. Although he has like 6 health and 6.
Yeah,
Like,
he
you can
also
see-
has like maximum fear and damage pools. But yeah, it's cool getting like using that lore system to upgrade your items. Makes those items a little more unique. And something we haven't done at all is we can change our roles in between missions. I think we mentioned this last time, but I haven't looked at it.
I mean,
that
for me
if you
that seems
keep-
one of those things of like, because you'd have to spend XP to get those to get new abilities, right?
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't keep
Yeah.
your XP where you can use that XP on a different role, or do you have to get new experience for the new role?
Yeah. Well, I feel having a person that gives a shitload of inspiration out is nice and
Yeah.
can heal. So I'll keep my musician for a while.
Yeah. I think mine would be more useful if more people had rest and guard and whatever the third thing that was added with the Dunedain.
Hide.
Hide, yeah. I haven't seen
Yeah.
anyone that even has the hide ability.
I do have the hide ability, but it's tied to a strike.
Yeah.
So I'm usually like, I'm going to do the damage instead.
Yeah, do the strike.
Yeah.
But I have ones that are like strike 3 or guard 2, which the guard 2 has come very useful.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Quite often. But yeah, Lord of the Rings continues to be a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And we'll play it again this week.
Yay.
Well, fingers crossed I don't
sh-
get totally blown out by my second Pfizer shot, which I'm getting tomorrow. So,
Oh yeah.
but
I get
I'll
mine
probably
a week from Wednesday.
I'll probably recover by then. Usually, it's only like a day of shitty.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't tend to be too long. I should also be playing a lot of board games. Megan and I rented a big old fucking house in Estes Park for our anniversary. And so it's just the two of us and the dog, and we're just going to hang out and read by the fire and play board games and soak in the hot tub and relax for like 4 days. And it's going to be great.
When is that?
We leave Thursday morning,
Okay.
and we'll be back on Sunday.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Do not drink anything from Estes Park Brewing.
oh, it's real bad. It's awful.
Trash.
It is such a shitty brewery.
Yeah.
It's disappointing that they got a couple other breweries up there. But
Yes,
yeah,
they do.
Estes
Drink
Park
from
Brewing
those.
Is by yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much we'll be going out to breweries and stuff because I still haven't had my second shot. But like currently we're
Well,
planning.
you can
on
get
mostly
beer and
next-
take it back.
True.
Yeah.
True. You can get beer to go. support the local businesses that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, might do 1 day of skiing in Rocky Mountain, snowboarding.
So have we moved on to Banter now at this point?
Sure, that's a great transition right into Banter. I'm going up Thursday to spend anniversary weekend with Megan in a big old fucking house in Estes.
Nice.
Has a hot tub, a big old fireplace, a really nice kitchen, like 4 beds, 5 beds. It's a huge fucking place. We got a really good deal on it. It's like, all right, yeah, we'll do this.
Live
and
the
also,
life for a weekend. I'll be like, oh man, look at this house that is actually gigantic. Imagine if we had a house like this.
yeah. Although I think it's going to be big enough that Megan will constantly be like, I couldn't imagine living in a house this big. And I'll be like, are you kidding? There's the master bedroom. There's the guest room. There's the podcast studio. There's the board game or the video game room. Here's a massive board game room. Like fucking all the things. But yeah.
And then you'll just move game night up to like fucking Estes Park.
Exactly. I'm sure we'd get great turnout.
Oh yeah.
Everybody'd be real eager to drive up there on a Wednesday. Speaking though of board games and Airbnbs and stuff, while I was searching for this place, because we very specifically wanted like a cabin or like house. We didn't want like a condo or something like that. We wanted a fireplace, and we ideally wanted a hot tub, but that wasn't like make or break. So the way I was searching, like and we didn't care where we went either. It was like, we just want to get into the mountains and escape for a long weekend. And so I was just searching, and I seeing some of the huge ultra 15 bed sleeps 30 type places.
Mega cabins
Got me thinking again about, maybe a post-COVID small mountain retreat MHGG con. Get everybody together in a big old fucking mountain.
Just fucking.
Shallot.
Straight fucking.
Maybe different phrasing.
Phrasing? Are we still doing that?
Is that still a thing? Okay.
What about suppressing fire? Are we still doing that?
But yeah, like there was one that was, it looked the numbers for it, because it was like 30-person chalet, with like 24 beds, because that's always one of the other problems too, is I see things where it's like, sleeps 30, but then it's only like 10 king-size beds, and they're like, yeah, you can put 3 people to a bed. Totally. It's like, probably not going to work for a board game convention, but whatever.
No, yeah.
But this one was like, chalet, sleeps 30, like 22 beds or something, and I was like, hey, now there you go. And then I clicked on it, and it was like, there was no open space anywhere in this building. Like, the kitchen and dining rooms are tiny.
Was it just everything was filled with beds, and that's
Basically, it was like, there would be nowhere to play a board game in this place, which is usually the opposite. Like, a lot of the places, they have these huge fucking, open loft dining living room areas with big tables, and it's like, that'd be great. And it's like, there's only 6 beds.
You just need an attached hotel.
Mm-hmm. Which is why all the conventions, go to actual convention centers with attached hotels.
Uh-huh. There's sleeping areas, and then there's big open spaces.
Yeah. So, but I feel pretty confident we could do like a 25-person, like small little board game, like 3-4 day weekend.
And
up in the mountains.
We got 24 people from just Denver, and then 1 person from out of town. Room enough.
We would definitely have to like hard limit the local folk who gotta go. It'd have, because we don't have.
We
that
can easily
many
fill
of
it with
the
just local.
Yeah, well, we don't have that many local people who I think listen to the podcast.
No, I don't think so.
Especially anymore. Like, I don't know if Paul or Ann.
Right now, we're just calling them out.
In fucking
we're just calling them out right now.
Yeah, right now.
We have an email later. Someone still does. He's invited. He's invited.
He is invited.
Yeah.
In fact, that's going to be how the initial invites go out. We're going to look at the last, 24 people to email us, and they're getting an invite first. After they accept or decline, then we'll see how many spots are left and send them to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it got my wheels turning again on that. Huh?
Engagement numbers.
Yes.
That's it. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Do it now. Other bantery things. We set temperature records in Denver, so
couldn't have been by much.
No, so the thing I heard, I heard this on CPR this morning or this afternoon coming home from work, and it was clearly like one of their like things they were just playing like every hour or two in between shows. So I think
Let's say at the top or bottom of every hour.
Yeah, so it was from the morning, so it hadn't been updated is the point I'm getting at. But they said that Saturday Denver tied the previous record, and then Sunday it broke it by like a degree or two. And then Sunday, at least, also broke records in Boulder and Fort Collins. And then today had the potential to break it, and I don't know if it did. But it's been like 80, basically, like high 70s to 80.
Yeah, but we're dipping back down into the 60s and 50s over the next 10 days. So.
See, I like that. I like that.
It'll be back to springy type stuff soon.
So yeah, long story short, like I actually kind of lucked out working this weekend because Megan did a whole fuckload of yard work Saturday and Sunday in record heat, which again was only 80 with like no humidity, so it's not like it's fucking Texas or something.
Yeah.
But
105-degree heat.
She normally, like, we have a policy where whoever works the 12-hour shift, which 3 times a week is her and 2 times a week is me, that person doesn't have to cook dinner. Like, they get to come home to dinner after working for 12 hours. And she actually messaged me on Saturday, and she was like, can you please just pick up Thai food? She's like, I'm not going to make you make dinner, but I'm not making dinner after all this fucking yard work.
Mm-hmm.
So I got brats, and I grilled brats, because that's barely making dinner. And brats are delicious.
Brats are delicious.
So, yeah, I had some potato salad, threw some really good barbecue sauce on my brat. It was nice. But yeah, that's about all I got. I'm still a week and a half away from my second COVID dose. We're planning massive yard stuff for the next like 2 months. We're gonna get sod put in June, I think, and it's gonna cost a lot of money.
That seems right.
I'm still trying to decide if I think I can do it myself.
I feel like inevitably the answer is going to be no, but it's the question is, at what point will you realize that that's the answer?
Well, the answer is definitely yes, I can do it myself. It's am I willing to actually do it myself? And that, I think the answer is strongly trending towards no.
Okay.
And even aside from that, like the sod itself is just going to be expensive. Turns out sod's not cheap. And I want to rebuild the deck, but lumber prices are fucking stupid in Denver right now. Partially because there's been a huge, massive, like, construction boom that's eating up all the lumber. And then also, there was a trade war with Canada, and apparently we get a lot of lumber from Canada.
I hear there's wood in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, and our last president was really a big fan of, winning trade wars. If by winning trade wars, you mean making costs for everything in America go up.
Yeah, that's how you win, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bigger numbers. You win with bigger numbers.
My score's higher. That means I win, right? And you're playing... No, sir, this is golf.
So, that sounds like how he played golf, too.
Yeah? No, he cheated.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was getting at. He just made up his own rules so that he could win.
And the points don't matter. Whose line is it anyways?
Anyway, that's all I have. I don't have a lot of banter this week. Pretty dull week for me.
Jeff, you talked about Kong versus Godzilla last week, right?
No, did it come out last week?
No, it came out Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I forgot. Yeah. We do have that to talk about.
Cool.
And
okay.
I do have 2 video games to talk about, but I can circle back around.
Yes. So I rewatched all of the movies, all the 3 movies in preparation for this one, even though I knew I didn't need to,
including the 1962 Godzilla versus King Kong.
No,
because I did
watch
ones.
The Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I watched the best. No,
Final Wars.
Final. No. So it was just Godzilla 2014, Kong, Skull Island, and then King of the Monsters. And I think after watching all 4 of these, I think Kong, Skull Island is still my favorite, but Kong versus Godzilla is a close second.
Yeah.
They promised. Big fuckers fighting each other, and that's what we got.
Big monkey versus big lizard.
Yep.
And what was the last sequence? Like 25 minutes of just giant monsters fighting each other?
Yeah.
Yep.
These aren't the worst humans that I've seen, and that's only because the Kong. I actually ended up liking the Kong side humans well enough.
Yeah.
The Godzilla ones were just useless. Literally,
yes,
useless.
They are straight out of a Michael Bay Transformers movie level of
Yeah.
useless.
Yeah.
They're just there so that you have a vague excuse to see some things and hear
Well,
some exposition.
Oh, yeah, it was exposition.
We got to move
and
the
then
story along and show why this is happening.
Yep. And to do that, we're going to show that Apex has the worst fucking security ever. That
Of
catches
all
nothing.
time.
Yeah.
But boy, can they make a big robot. Yeah, it's Michael Bay levels bad on the Godzilla side.
Yeah.
And the King Kong side's pretty good. Lance Reddick is in the movie for 6 seconds and about 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And he's top billed. He's in the credits.
Yeah, he's 8th build. Apparently, I don't even know if we catch it at all through what's actually showed up, but he was like the director of Monarch.
There was an interview, I think, that came out yesterday or today that it's like, why is Lance Reddick in this for 2 seconds? It's like, we cut. Everyone doesn't like that shit, so we cut it all.
Yeah, that was what they specifically referenced that like the human stuff wasn't working, so we're just going to cut it. People wanted more monsters fighting, so that's what we did.
And I guess this director's like, this is his first big movie. He did The Guest a couple of years ago that Lance Reddick was in, which is probably why he's also in this movie. And in that same interview, he's like, I did the reshoots in like 5 days, where normally it's like 2 weeks. So I saved a ton of money.
Yep.
Because he's just like a tiny little director on this huge multi-million-dollar movie, which apparently has been a thing.
Yes.
Past couple years. Like, take this no-name director and throw him on some crazy huge movie because they know how to be efficient.
Yep.
Because they're usually on little shoestring budgets. But apparently, like, there was 2 other cast members in the movie that
I remember at least one that just got cut.
Yeah, like totally cut, and they were supposed to be along with like the Hollow Earth team, and apparently they were supposed to be in the Hollow Earth for like days, and it just was just kind of like a couple hours.
Yep.
Godzilla nuclear breathed into the center of the Earth, which was cool.
Which I'm sure will cause no problems at all in days to come.
It was a really easy way to get the monkey where the needed to fight the lizard, though. So.
It was amazing because it literally looked like Godzilla like looked down the hole, and then King Kong looked at each other, even though they're thousands of miles away.
Yeah,
like, fucker, get up here, and it's like, all right.
Or fall up. He jumped into the hole, so I guess he fell to the surface.
Yeah, but like the weird thing for me is that like I was at like in order to get there, you had to use like some wormhole that for some reason Kong had to be there for, but there was no thing that I saw that made it look like Kong needed to be there in order for them to go through Hollow Earth.
No.
It
was to get through that portal.
So he wasn't
or something?
supposed to help them get through. He was supposed to lead them to.
But they knew exactly where. Like they. Well, they had.
They knew they could get to Hollow Earth, but then where are they going to go? They don't know where to go once they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was what they needed him for. Was like he was supposed to lead them to the temple. And that was also a little weird. I don't know.
Okay, so that part makes sense at least now. But yeah, no, I guess like the Kong's ancestors were like they made shit. Like they were.
Well,
they made temples and shit.
But I mean, in
the
last Godzilla movie, they're supposed to be humans because the humans made like Atlantis that Godzilla's place was underwater. More than likely, humans helped make that area as well.
Yeah. But then because you needed a wormhole to get there, it just seems weird that you could also just drill a hole down there and then you don't need to worry about the wormhole anymore.
You don't have to worry about the entire Earth's gravity crushing you into the size of a dime in an instant.
So that's when I asked
so you needed Tron vehicles to get there in the first place.
No, that part is fine. I just, like, for me, it felt like Godzilla made a literal plot hole by just drilling through the thing that you just couldn't do before. Like,
yep.
And it's just
because
like, okay,
the monkey needed to fight the lizard.
I get it. The pitch meeting for this one was very on point.
Oh, it was so on point. Just so much of it was just great.
Because the monkey fights the lizard, and we needed to make that happen. Oh, okay.
But it was enjoyable. I do wish that these movies, like, because I know, like, I haven't seen Shin Godzilla, but I know it's
very
real good. and I know that it doesn't deal with just Godzilla, but like the ramifications
Yes.
of what a Godzilla would mean to the world.
What politicking would have to happen because a giant lizard has now appeared and destroyed
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff.
So it is a shame that we can't have that in these, but
Because
they
trash.
well, you could. I mean, because like
You can do it very well.
You can do it very well. I just don't trust the Americans to do it very well.
Nope.
No, 100% not.
Nope.
So
I wish they did,
yeah,
but they did not.
no,
So we got giant monsters fighting,
yes,
which was fun.
yes, it was. I saw in the discussion thread some people saying that King of the Monsters was their favorite of like the three, and I was just like, I can't even understand that.
Yeah, Skull.
I mean, people
Skull
have
Island's
bad
still...
opinions all the time.
Yeah. What stuff do you like again, Adrian?
Only quality.
Mm.
It's not like 13th Warrior, a movie that made Omar Sharif quit acting, is a movie that I like.
I mean, it could also be Legend. Was it Legend of the League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen? That made,
yes,
Sean
Connery's
Connery quit acting.
Yeah.
final movie. I think he
No, that
punched
movie
the
was-
director at one point,
That movie was bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so that came out.
and it's good.
That was good.
Yeah, it was okay. Like, I don't know if I'd go so far as good. It's good if all you want to see is
Yes, it's good. It's good
big
for
monkey
what.
fight big lizard.
Yes.
Yes,
Um,
and they did, and it was great.
Yeah.
And it was good for we got another just
And-
outstanding high quality pitch meeting out of it.
Yes.
So-
Well, and they killed millions of people in Hong Kong. So
oh, good God.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah.
talk about a
and that guy-
lightsaber through a skyscraper.
Yeah. And also, my question is, I would almost like kaiju to exist in this world just for how far technology progresses once they are a thing. Because
Yeah, it's
between
like-
2014 to I think this is supposed to take place in like 2024 or something like that.
Yeah,
And the tech increase,
Someone-
like they have that fucking like underground tunnel that goes from like Los Angeles to Tokyo.
oh, what
Like,
is that?
instantly,
The two,
fucking
Yeah.
so
the
fast.
Yeah, the hyperloops.
hyperloops. Yeah.
And then also
I saw a
the
comment that
anti-gravity stuff.
I saw a
They
comment.
have the fucking King Kong sized Truman Show set.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's commented was like, "Why do they just use Halo things now?" Halo takes place in the 2550s.
Yep.
Oh shit.
We should probably wrap
Anyhow.
Banter up. We're at an
I'll
hour.
just- Yeah, I'll just say real quick, I just started Ghost of Tsushima, and it's real pretty on the
It's real good.
PS5. Yeah, real good.
I also only just started it, and then that intro is real pretty.
They're real pretty. It's
You're
the
like
60 frames per second really helps that wind and all the grass that's billowing around.
Yeah, you're charging down that hill at the Mongols.
Yep.
Looks good.
I tried switching it to Japanese with English subtitles until I realized that they didn't lip sync it to that.
No.
So you can clearly tell that they are the Japanese does not sync up with their lips, and so I switched it to English, and I was like, okay, this is what they did. And that's one reason why I don't like dub in a lot of things for anime, because I watch it and I'm hearing them say stuff, but it's not matching the movements, and so I had to hear the opposite way, and I was like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
Did you try Kurosawa mode at all?
No, I only played it for a few minutes, kind of just for
Gotcha.
that intro.
Yeah.
I bought and started playing 2 new games that I'll just touch on real briefly. First one of our friends posted on Facebook that like, hey, this game that I kind of like is $1, and I looked at it. It's called Equilinox, and it's like a ecosystem builder, like kind of like a city builder where like you have to zone different areas like for forest and grassland and mountain. And then and like animals like different things and don't like some things, and it's fun. I feel like I've almost already beat it like at 8 hours of total playtime, but it's relaxing. And then after seeing like Suzanne from Dice Tower and a whole bunch of other people on Board Game Twitter talk about it for weeks now, I bought Dorf Romantic.
I bought
That's
that
the
one
game
too.
I thought you were going to talk about.
And that game is a game that, like, so far I'm still under 2 hours in it, but I can see how people lose themselves in that game. Like,
it's
my first
pretty much
game,
just
it was
free play, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you basically you have a stack of hexes. Like you start with like 40 of them, and you just draw the top one and then you place it. And you start with like a center hex or like a small little like board that has a bunch of sides. And you basically occasionally certain tiles will have things where it's like a city tile will come out that wants to be adjacent to at least 6 other houses. Or it might be one that is like to 10 or more houses. And so you're trying to strategically like place these to get more points. And I haven't figured out what the mechanism is in it so far, but doing certain things like scoring points or getting to certain levels of points adds more tiles to your stack. So the better you play, the longer you get to play in any given game. But eventually your stack runs out and then you get a score. And then it's like, all right, well, your high score is this. Do better. And you just keep playing and playing and playing and playing and playing. And then it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're like, holy shit, I should have gone to bed. And that was the story of my first 2 hours with Dorf Romantic.
Yeah, it's been sitting in my Steam cart, but I haven't picked it up yet. I probably will soon.
I am really upset that it's not an app because I had a really, really slow Sunday at
Well, it's
work,
early
and it would've
access, and a lot of those
great.
app places don't allow early access stuff. So
Yeah. Well, I
That's
don't
probably
even know
why.
if there's a plan for it to be an app. But
Yeah.
it seems like it'd be a great, like, idle phone app.
speaking of apps, the Apple Arcade expanded their library extensively over the weekend. Like
Ah.
dozens of new games added. Even some old stuff that hasn't been like updated for iOS versions in a lot of years. They went back to the developers and were like, this was a very core app of the App Store. We want it on the Apple Arcade. And so like there's Cut the Rope, like remastered edition, and like Oregon Trail HD or whatever it was. So I've been playing that. It's been good. There's also a Star
Okay.
Trek game on there that is totally would have been like rife with nightmarish microtransactions and loot boxes, but since it's on Apple Arcade, none of it's there. It plays like a game. It's so nice. And then
but yeah.
I'll play Outriders on my Xbox too, because it's on Game Pass.
Nice.
Has it is
No,
it consistently working? No, it's still
no,
fucked?
No,
Okay.
no, it's still fucked.
Great.
Broken across the board.
Right on. Well,
I get to be a first across the line, fully vaccinated tomorrow.
yes, you do.
Well,
Yep. I mean, you were like 3 weeks ahead of us all on your first shot.
Yay! Agriculture manufacturing.
Yeah, no, I've got 15 days for me until I'm eligible again for the next one.
I would technically, I think, be eligible on Wednesday, but when I like signed up for my first shot, they booked my second shot at the same time, and they put it just 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
And since I'm going on vacation Thursday morning, I don't really want to like get the shot and then be sick on my anniversary like vacation with Megan. So
Well,
I'm
that's
sure it'll be
January.
fine.
In Japan.
Yeah. So I get it next Wednesday. So that should be good. But yeah, that's it for banter, and we can move on to some news and some Kickstarters.
Yeah. First up in news, only up in news. Speaking of Marvel Champions, earlier, there is another Guardians of the Galaxy hero announced for
Ooh.
Marvel Champions named Venom, that classic Guardians of the Galaxy character.
Indeed.
But this is not your traditional Venom.
No.
So
This is Flash Thompson?
Flash Thompson
Yes.
has been Venom for quite a few years now. He lost his legs in the military, and then he got into some like U.S. government. I guess they explained it here.
Project Rebirth 2.0.
Yeah,
which
the
is
second
the
Super
government's
Soldier program.
second Super Soldier program. Yeah.
AKA, let's just take the Venom symbiote, and here you go. You're a super soldier. Done.
And they also gave him some sweet bionic legs looking at his alter ego card.
Yeah. He does have. They did put some prosthetic legs on him. I think early on in the comic he did not have those, and so like when the symbiote would leave him, he just wouldn't have legs again.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What a dick move. Jeez.
Yeah. Early on, at least. I think they realized that was like, that's not good. Anyway, so this is like a Venom that uses guns and is a guardian of the galaxy.
I get some very like Deadpoolish vibes off of some of the
yes. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think more Spider-Man with guns because that's kind of what Deadpool was drawn as originally.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But he's got his like Venom powers and tendrils and stuff like that. His nemesis is actually interesting.
Himself.
Yeah, because it's himself. Because it's the Venom symbiote. It's the same one that Eddie Brock had. And he can lose control, and then you have to fight your symbiote for control. And like when your nemesis comes out, you get a bunch of these enraged symbiotes attached to you as like minions, which is neat.
Yeah, you get 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh well, great. Now you got to fight yourself 4 times to go back to working on the main scheme.
Yes. It seems cool. I mean, all of their heroes have been fairly unique. I think my still main complaint is like the core Spider-Man character just feels so boring compared to everything else that's come after. He just doesn't feel like Spider-Man.
And that's one of the problems with like the intro ones versus once you feel comfortable, like with what you can do with certain things.
Yeah,
I would wonder if they ever do like an updated Spider-Man or something.
Yeah,
like
that would be like a Miles Morales or something.
Yeah,
like
that'd be real nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he would even have different stuff like Venom powers or is it called Venom powers too?
I think he calls it Venom Punch.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like I just finished a fucking game playing this. God damn it.
So Marvel Champions continues to be a fun game. And they keep releasing things that you can buy.
Indeed.
Why, thank you, Fantasy Flight Games.
For giving me reasons to give you money.
Yes. And that's it for news.
Indeed.
Which you move on to Kickstarter. Just Kickstarter this week. No crowdfunding corner. First up in Kickstarter, we have 1815 Scum of the Earth, the Battle of Waterloo card game. Very well funded, $90,000 of its $22,000 goal, over 1,100 backers, and about a week left to go to pledge this one, which you can for $45.
Yep. So this is the 3rd game in the Hebs card series, which is the Historic Epic Battle System series, designed by Tristan Hall. And the first 2 were... I'm drawing blanks on them now. I had them pulled up. 1066 Tears to Many Mothers and 1565 St. Elmo's Pay. So essentially, they are vaguely based off the Magic system, Magic the Gathering, but they're not CCGs. It's all contained in one game, but it's meant for... The previous ones have been just 2-player. This one does add the potential if you have 2 sets of cards to play 2v2, but it is a 2-player asymmetrical card battle game, and this one takes place during the Battle of Waterloo. So essentially, one player takes on the role of Napoleon and the French, and the other takes on the role of Arthur Wellesley and the English, wherein they're fighting at Waterloo, and the goal is to win 2 of the 3 like fronts, which I don't remember which all they were. It's scattered in here. They got a whole bunch of information about Waterloo. I learned more about Waterloo than I knew about Waterloo just from reading through this Kickstarter. But essentially, you got a bunch of different cards, like your leader cards, and then you've got different types of troop cards, and then specific like almost like heroes that are all based off of actual people who were actually at Waterloo and did things and actual reports. Like they've got one here for the French side, Michel Ney, who was a marshal for the French, or they got a Prussian guy, Blücher, field marshal for the Prussians, who were allied with the English.
I want to say that's the like the 3 and 4 player for multiplayer?
So those are examples of the other, yes.
Yeah.
Because those both are leaders. I see the leader tag now.
Yeah.
Yes. Because this one does come with 4 leaders, and you can even in a 2-player game, you could just play as like, hey, these guys were allies, and we're gonna, they're gonna be our leader.
Yeah.
Sorry. So they have other guys like somewhere down here. I saw a bunch of them. I don't know.
I
If
also
come back
saw them.
across them. Because they do. They have
Baron-
have actual people. Sir
Baron-
William Ponsonby, Major
Yes.
General of the British Cavalry, is a character card. Because you have like character cards, event cards, unit cards, things like that. New to this, so that it gets still that's based off that same system that his other games were based off of. This one has a revamped solo mode that has a faster setup and the ability to battle multiple foes for an additional challenge. They have the option to just get the weather deck expansion that comes with this one, which is just a deck of weather things that affects your troops and affects both sides equally, because these battles are in small enough locations that weather would affect you both equally. They add formations like squares, lines, and columns. Different things like status effects, like you can get mired down in mud and rain. You can duel to target specific units. Some of the characters have the faded tactic, which whenever they die, there will be like a consequence to them dying. Things like that. A bunch of other stuff.
It's fully
Yeah,
available
I don't know.
on Tabletopia. You can play it right now.
Indeed. And the basic gameplay, like I said, it's based off like magic system. So you
Sure.
just each round you take turns playing cards and building up your army. Kind of like building up your tableau in Magic the Gathering. You're playing a bunch of cards in front of yourself, and doing what they say. So like this character card here, Baron Marbeau, Major General for the French Cavalry. When played, cunning, tire 1 non-leader enemy in this card's frontier. The frontiers are the 3 like battle areas where you're trying to win 2 of the frontiers, or defeating the enemy leader. All of the leaders have the thing where it says if this card dies, you lose. So,
Sorry, that's
it
1066 Tears of Many Mothers you can play right. Not this.
Okay,
1815 specific.
gotcha. Which this one will be compatible if you already own those other games, or you can get those games here for like the $262 pledge is everything. So you get 1066, 1565, and 1815, along with a bunch of promo packs and play mats, things like that. The 1066 is the Battle of Hastings in 1066, and 1565 is the Siege of Malta. I think it was Malta.
Sure.
Yeah, Siege of Malta, aka the greatest siege in history.
There you go.
So, I've seen, and like some of these won different awards. Like one of them won a like BGG Historical Game Award or something like that. I've seen them and I've been intrigued by them. I've never liked Magic. Not just because of the theme, but like I've played it and it's okay. So I haven't been super interested in them aside from their theme, and they're like deeply historical. But I've heard of them and I'm intrigued. The art is really good. I do like the art on all of them.
Yeah, and it's only $45, so it's not.
Well, if you're just gonna get the one, but I don't have any of them, so I might as well spend $262.
Yeah, why not?
God, I'm such a good consumer. But yeah, the playmats are really cool. Like they look real nice. And one of their only stretch goal is to make the playmat double-sided. And then so one side has like all the spots for the cards. So like as you play, it gives you like where you play them. And then the backside will have no grid, so it'll just be like a really pretty art mat.
Yeah.
And for that one, they need to get to 75,000 pounds, a little over 75,000 pounds, which was the funding of 1066, their first game, which they're there. So, yeah, that's 1815 Scum of the Earth.
Next up on Kickstarter, we have Factory Funner, Bear Raid, and Ghosts of Christmas from the BoardGameTables.com people. Very well funded, $180,000 of their $50,000 goal, to over 2,700 backers, but only about a week left to pledge this one at its most popular pledge of $89 for all 3 games.
Indeed. So yeah, BoardGameTables.com, if you didn't know, has been getting into publishing board games for a while, and they have a few out, and this is their latest Kickstarter. You can get them each individually. $15 for Ghost of Christmas, $34 for Factory Funner, or $34 for Bear Raid, or get all of them for that $69 pledge. Along with only $4 shipping for the U.S. That's pretty awesome. And they put that right at the top, so it really catches you. Like, hey, this is affordable. Anyway, the games themselves. So Ghosts of Christmas is a trick-taking game with a little bit of a twist. So it's based off of an older game, Time Palatrix, that maybe you have played before. And basically, it's a trick-taking game where you play 3 tricks at a time. And by tricks, I mean like individual, like almost like hands. So you're playing to 3 different piles at a time. And so on your turn, you play 1 card into one of the 3 tricks. In this case, for the theming of this, because it's Ghost of Christmas, it's past, present, and future. And so depending on which one you play into, like if you're the first to play into the future, you've now set the lead card for future. And they've got a little dial that'll even show what the suit is. The suits in this one are like heart, music, candle, and they don't show the slightly different music. Green music and blue music. I can't quite tell what that green symbol is actually. It's like justice scales.
Yes,
So
scales,
it's like,
the scales of justice.
Yeah, so scales, music, hearts, and candles are your 4 suits. But so depending on which one you play into, well, you can set the lead card for that trick. The trump cards, though, and I'm not quite sure how the trump is determined for the first one. There is some kind of a mechanic for like affecting that, but I couldn't find a good explanation of it quickly. But then once whoever wins past sets the trump for present, and then sets the trump for future. So you might not know whether the card you played off will be trump or not, if you're not the one who controls what gets to be trump. So like you're kind of, depending on what you do, like you might not have a great hand, but if you can manipulate, what ends up being trump in different situations, you might be able to actually win a hand. Which sounds interesting. It sounds a little brain burny, trying to keep track of like 3 different tricks and trying to manipulate them. Just like pretty much every other trick-taking game, like spades and hearts and stuff like that, you bid on the number of tricks you think you will win in a given hand, and they have a really cool little like component thing for this. So when you bid on a trick, every bid you take a door and you set it in front of you, and then as you win tricks, you take wreaths from the wreath pile and put them on your doors. And then at the end you look and you score points if you actually got as many tricks as you bid you would get, which is kind of just a cool little visual indicator of where people are at in that.
One thing I sort of like too with the bidding is that if you say you think you will take 3 tricks, and you just take 3 doors and you're successful, you get like 6 points. But if you're like, I could take 3 but maybe 4, you can take like 3 purple doors and then 1 orange door, and then you will be successful if you take 3 or 4 tricks, but if you will get like 3 points instead. So you're basically hedging your bet that you're not sure if you're going to go over, but by doing so you take lesser points, but you have a better chance of getting your points.
Yes. Which was, I think is another really cool thing that they're adding to trick-taking, which like I really like trick-taking games. Like I
Same
love
here.
spades, love euchre, and a bunch of things like that. And so having this new
Boo!
different trick-taking game, just gonna keep ignoring Jeff.
No, it's
not a game
these
for
are the
me.
ghosts. These are ghosts. So he's going boo. He's trying to get you thematically.
see,
Yeah,
okay, there you go.
yeah.
Getting into the theme.
I wish I had chains to rattle into my
Yeah.
microphone.
Because if I know anything, is that Jeff loves the thematic part of trick-taking games.
Oh, absolutely.
The
Correct.
most out of trick-taking part.
What weird colors and shapes are going to be on this game?
They also have some different variants. For instance, they also have a variant that adds a 4th beyond section, so you could be playing 4 tricks at a time. They have different bidding options, like Zach said, with exact or like wiggle room. And it's a nice little small box. They list that as a perk. It's a small box. So that is Ghosts of Christmas. Factory Funner is a sequel / follow-up / re-implementation of Factory Fun. And so this is a tile-laying game where each round you are trying to build a machine and then connect it to other machines and things in order to make it work. So each
I think
machine
this one
tile
looks fantastic.
it looks so cool. I'm actually really interested in this one.
It looks cool, but I think I'll just probably wait for Factory Funnest because that's going to be the best looking one anyway. So
You're probably right. So essentially the way this game plays is you have a whole bunch of different machine tiles. There's 48 of them in the game. You play with a different number of them depending on the number of players. And each person ends up with, you shuffle them all up face down, and then everybody draws an amount of them. And then each round will flip the top one off of your stack into the center of the table. And it is then a race for anybody to take any of those face-up ones. So if, like, the three of us are playing, we flip 3 face-up tiles. I can grab the tile Zach dropped or the tile that Jeff dropped if I want to. And so everybody, grabs a tile. And then you have to put your tile on the board and then connect it using different pipes to reservoirs, which can be just like they have basic reservoirs of they're like 4 ingredient colors: red, blue, green, yellow. And so different machines want different inputs and then output something. And so there's reservoirs that you can have things, deposit to, or you can have the output of one machine go to the input of a different machine, potentially, because each machine wants different amounts. Like one might want 1 pip worth of red. And so as long as the machine you are connecting to it outputs at least 1, which if it outputs red, it does, then you get extra points and things going forward. But like the way the tiles work in the pipes, like you can crisscross and you're building all on this common center board. So you end up with this big mixed up, jumbled factory of inputs and outputs going all over the place. You're scoring different points. It costs points to lay things on the board. So like if you want to do a big long run of pipe, every single thing you place on the board besides your machine costs 1 point. And machines each give you a base set of points when you place them. So like a machine might give you 5 points or money, and then you lay 4 track. Well, then you've just spent 4 of the 5 you earned, so you're only going to net 1 that turn. But there's different rewards for like connecting them to other machines. You can remove things from the board at any time for free. So if a pipe's in your way and you it's connecting to an input and you want to make your new machine go to that input, you can just pull it up and make that happen, as long as every machine still has to work at the end of your building stuff. So, and you play that for a few rounds, and then whoever has the most points wins. And it looks crazy and fun and awesome.
Yeah, it looks good.
Agreed.
I am interested in this one.
Yeah. They do have a little bit of a balancing mechanism for the grabbing of the tiles. So and I don't know what all player counts these kick in at. The Rado video wasn't super clear. At 2 players, for sure, whoever picks first gets a -1 point / income tile for that round. In a 3-player game, whoever picks first gets the -1, and then whoever picks last gets a +1. So I'm not sure in the 2-player, he didn't make it clear. Does the second person still get the +1? Is it like a 2-point swing in a 2-player game? I don't think so. That seems like it'd be a little extreme. But like in a 3 or more player game, whoever picks first gets -1 point. Whoever picks last gets +1.
The first token is not used in a 2-player game.
Okay. So it only has the +1?
It only has the +1.
Then I wonder if that changed, because he was clearly playing with like an older version, because he even talked about
they talk about that in the Kickstarter too, that all those reviews were off the previous.
The Factory Fun.
I think so.
I think it was a different version of Funner though, because he was definitely playing with the hexes, and Factory Fun was squares.
Gross.
So yeah, and that was like one of the things they mentioned in this one. Like for the bad grammar, they said like it's a sequel and improvement to Factory Fun, uses hexes instead of squares to allow more creative building and subtle improvements to scoring, length, and machine placement. So, but yeah, seems really interesting, especially like at more players. Like it has like a solo mode and like the 2-player, but I feel like this is a game that'd be really fun with like 3 or more, where you're really like
And it goes up
battling
to
over
6?
factories.
Great. It goes to 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. I said you're building on a common board, which he made it look like Rado
No.
did in his video, but I don't think you actually are. You're building
No.
your own factory.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
it
have
looks
your
like you're
own
building your
individual boards.
So, but yeah.
Once again, these games about like building pipes and shit like that, getting confused and thinking there's a common board and then there's not.
Fuck
At
you,
least
Pipeline.
Yeah, at least we figured it out now versus when we were going to play the game.
Correct.
Aw.
No. So that's Factory Funner. And then moving on, the final game in this game, because I'm trying to get through all of them on this one big Kickstarter, is Bear Raid. Buy stocks, manipulate the market, and profit.
Have you? Did you pay attention to GameStop stock?
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have diamond hands? That's
so speaking of pipeline, Bear Raid is designed by the same designer, Ryan Courtney. And Bear Raid is apparently a real phrase used to describe when a stock price is intentionally lowered through short selling and rumors. And so that's kind of basically what you're doing in this game. You have a player screen, and then behind it, you have a little like thing that shows basically whether you're betting a stock will go up or down and by how much. And so you decide whether you want to buy stock or short stock. Then you can kind of manipulate some dice. And then you draw and roll dice matching the forecast cards for different stocks, adjust stock prices, and then see if you did good. See if your shorting was the right move or if you got fucking hosed. It is all over the place.
This feels like a Zach game.
yeah. I'm liking the titles of the stocks a lot. So there's Banana, Edison, GameStart, Nile instead of Amazon, Gazillion, and then Unusual Oil, which is
Standard Petroleum.
oh, there we go. It had the thing closer to BP, I think, so that's why I was confused. But yeah, now that makes sense. Yeah. No, yeah.
Or no, it's Standard Oil because it's British Petroleum. Standard
yes.
Oil. So yes, this one is
A mix.
A mix,
But
but
yes, they are very punny.
which
stock.
I'm always for.
But
I backed this during this, so
okay. Are you getting all 3, or did
Yes.
you just get Bear Raid?
I buy all 3 because I'm interested in all 3. So
Good. I'm still very much on the fence on this one. I want all 3 also.
I'd
I
be
think
in for
they'll all be
funner,
fun.
but only because I knew Zach would be getting this one.
well, and that's the nice thing is that you can get one of them, so
Mhm.
you don't have to get all of them.
Oh
And
man,
And I did the.
component upgrade.
Of course I did because
Okay, yeah, because if you get all 3 for $69 for only $20 more, you can get component upgrades for all 3 games. So Ghost of Christmas, you get wooden wreaths, you get a Dickens hat starting player token. Factory Funner, you get a custom wood insert to hold it all, which actually looks like that'd be super useful.
Yeah,
And then for Bear Raid, the stock discs all become screen printed wood stock discs. And,
those the bottom 2 are the ones I'm more like interested in. But then
For
it was
sure.
like, getting the other one was just like you said. I think you still save money.
19% if you get all 3 plus the component upgrade versus only
Yeah.
17% for getting all 3. So,
Yeah.
or you go for the big bundle and you get a board game bag too.
I've already got one of those. I don't need another one just yet. So.
Do you actually have one of the board game table ones?
I do. Yes, I bought
Oh,
it
nice.
at Board Game Geek. So
Oh,
they're nice.
Right on.
yeah.
So yeah, if you want to drop $129, you'll save $30. You get all 3 games, component upgrade, and a board game bag.
Yeah.
So
What if I just want
There
the
you go.
component upgrade for one of the games?
You can add it on.
yeah,
But is it
you can
still
add that on in the-
$20?
No, so you it was 10 or 15, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the 3 games from the Factory Funner, Bear Raid, and Ghost of Christmas Kickstarter from BoardGameTables.com.
Oh, it's only $7 for the wood organizer for
That's not
Factory Funner. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
apparently $15 for the 180 wooden stock tokens. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
And I also didn't realize it was 180 fucking tokens.
Yeah, it's a lot of tokens. All right. Well, moving on to the next Kickstarter.
Yes. Sentinels of the Multiverse definitive edition, not second edition. No one would ever think that. It's very well funded. $296,000 of its $50,000 goal. Shocker. Over 3,600 backers. 2 weeks left to pledge this one, which you can pledge at its most popular pledge level of $50.
Yeah. So, like Jeff said, this is like, 2.0 second edition / definitive edition. So Sentinels of the Multiverse first came out in 2010, so a little over a decade old.
I remember playing it at that Gen Con.
Yeah, that was way before any of this.
Yes.
But that was before Denver existed. Well, before
for me, Denver.
You coming to Denver.
Yeah.
Yes. Before I came to Denver. That was before
I came to Denver.
See, so it was before any of us were in Denver. Are we even sure Denver existed prior to that?
It's Schrodinger's Denver.
Yeah. But so this was like the game that started, I think, Greater Than Games.
For sure.
I couldn't remember if Greater Than started with them or if they like picked them up somewhere right after it started or not. But basically over the years there's been a shit ton of Sentinels of the Multiverse add-ons and expansions and things like that. And this was the very first game that all of them had done. It was like, it was Greater Than Games' first published game. It was the first designed game from Christopher Badell? Christopher. It was Adam Robitaro who did the art. He's the artist for everything Sentinel Comics. He did 100% of the art for it. And they've all basically over the last decade continued to do games and art and publishing and design. And they said, hey, we could probably make this better than it was. And that's what this is.
Fiddly as fuck.
Yep. So this new version has all new art, top to bottom.
In that same style.
It's in the same style, and it's the same artist.
Yes.
So it's just him having improved over a decade as an artist and then doing new art. They brought in a whole bunch more people. It's not just like the two guys who started working on it way back then. They went through, all the art is brand new. Writing and game design have been stripped down to core elements and then rebuilt from there. So the gameplay is more swift and smooth. Everything on the table is communicated better, including with like all new graphic design. They brought on specific graphic designers to help with that. A whole bunch of different polish, a bunch of development and playtesting went into this since like before, like way back in early 2020 is when they started on it. And they've been working on it for the last year. Did a bunch of different playtesting to make sure it was good. And like they have through here a bunch of different areas where they show like what a certain card used to look like versus what it looks like now. And I like all of it does look better. The graphic design, things like that, like the cards I think are more legible, more like easy to parse. The art looks better. Like it does look better across the board.
Yeah, they
so
have
much so
in the specific hero breakdowns, they have side-by-side card comparisons between the old version, like turret mode, versus the new turret mode, and it does look just night and day better.
Yeah. And they're actually so confident about that they are offering a money-back guarantee. So, basically, if you back this, they give you. And they moved where it is. There it is. They're going to give you. I don't see the time. 90 days. They are going to give you 90 days to request a refund if you don't like it. So basically, and that's from the date that they announce fulfillment is complete. So depending on when you get it in fulfillment, you might have more than 90 days. But they'll send out an update to say, hey, fulfillment is complete. The refund clock starts now. Anytime within 90 days, you can send the game back to them. They will give you a shipping label. You repackage it, you send it back, and once they get it, 10 to 15 days later, they will refund you your money. If you get it and you play it and you think, well, shit, this isn't worth it. This isn't an upgrade over all the other shit I already have. Then, yeah. So what do you have to lose, basically, is what they're saying. Jeff, you've actually played Sentinels. I've never played Sentinels.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's kind of like Marvel Champions, where you have a deck that is your hero, and it's those heroes cards. There isn't any like real construction as far as I remember. I didn't play it like a ton
No,
or with a million.
I think you
expansions.
just, I think it was just you had your own deck,
Yeah.
and this was back before they got the licenses for like to play their own one. So it was sort of like, here's our versions of superheroes.
Yes, it is very much their versions of things.
Yeah.
Which were good. And then you fought a villain, and there would be some sort of environmental effect that would be going on because where you are fighting the villain. But everything would have 1 million modifiers, and it would be 1 million modifiers of like plus this type of damage, minus this type of damage, and you would have to have all of those on all of the different areas that would be affecting. There was a ton of tokens, and it seems, and hopefully this has streamlined that significantly. Because it was an interesting game, but it just took forever, and you would always forget. You do that thing of like, oh, I did 3 damage, no 4 damage. Oh, I did 3 damage, no 2 damage. And you would be doing that every single time, because you would have to go through, 5 different spots on the game board where there was modifiers to figure out what was actually being modified.
I remember this being like one of the first games that like when it came to the app, it came out with an app. It was like, oh man, this makes it a lot better.
Yeah. And it seems like that is going to come through in this version. Thankfully, this is also all compatible with any previous stuff. They will be redoing all of that previous stuff, but while you still have it, you can use it, and there's a little conversion guide. They said that the new stuff will, feel better than the old stuff.
Yeah.
But there is a way to use that stuff that you already had.
Yeah. They have health spinners now, too.
I want
I
to
don't know
say
if
there
they
was
had that
health
before.
spinners at one point or another, or if it was just 1 million chits. Maybe one of the expansions added that. But yeah.
So there you go. That's all the fancy stuff for Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition for 1 to 5 players.
Yeah, now they can afford to do this now that they've got all that Spirit Island money.
Yeah. So they even mentioned like they base some of the shipping. They're like, it costs us about this much to ship Jagged Earth, and this weighs about the same as Jagged Earth. So we're gonna say it's gonna cost about the same.
Yes.
So yeah. Moving on.
Last up on Kickstarter this week, we have John Company, 2nd edition. John Company's Bizarre Adventures. Very well funded, $515,000 of its shocking $50,000 goal. Just over 5,900 backers, about a little under 2 weeks left to pledge this one, which you can at its most popular pledge level of $80.
Yup. So for those of you who aren't familiar with John Company, yes,
really its only pledge level. The game is $80. Everything else is their other games.
yes. So for those of you not familiar with John Company, basically you are playing as different families that are like involved in the Dutch East India Company. And
is it
so
Dutch East India? What am I thinking? Well, there's another East India Company.
And this might be the not Dutch East India. It might be the British East India. Actually, it's definitely, I think, British. Yeah, British East India Company.
Yeah, that's right. We got to live fact check you.
Sorry.
We're gonna
Anyway,
get another angry
We either
Andrew
do that
email.
now, yeah, or we get an email from somebody else later. Your
which
choice,
this
Adrian.
this would have certainly been Kaiser because this is history. You
Yes.
know?
But yeah,
that's
it's it's the wrong millennium, I think, on this one.
maybe. Anyhow, so it is a 1 to 6 player game. It takes 90 to 240 minutes. They're at least pretty honest about the fact you're not getting out of here in under an hour and a half. And so in the game, you basically play as a family who has different members of your family involved in the company. And so you're trying to like raise your nephews, nieces, sons, daughters up through the ranks of the East India Company. And this is the 2nd edition of that. So they have a whole bunch of fancier components. They've upgraded components, streamlined some of the gameplay, kind of the same thing with Sentinels. They went through, and this isn't the first time they've done this. Pax Pamir is another Cole Worley game that was published by Whirligig that had major changes and updates from the first edition, which wasn't designed by Cole Worley. This one, John Company was, and then he has redesigned this one. And basically, there's like so much different stuff to cover. So edition differences from this one, they've upgraded basically all of the components. Like the board is completely redesigned, new art, new layout. Components are going from like little cubes to actual like wooden discs that are like kind of oblong and like are like portraits to represent your family members, the people you're trying to promote through the company. They rebuilt all graphic elements of the game to make it more immersive and playable. Rulebook has been expanded with much more examples and a more conversational style to like help teach the game better, make it smoother. They've changed and expanded the negotiation system. So they redesigned the previous promise system to where now it's more of like a future favor system that kind of changes some of that. They streamlined the event system by getting rid of all of the old event tables and replaced it with a new system that just uses 20 punchboard tiles that have a painted, and I've never heard of this word, Genjifa style art. That's like very Indian looking style of art. And
it reminds me of what was that? I'm Just a Bill cartoon.
Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah, a little bit. This looks much more refined than that, but
are you talking about the Genjifa tokens or the game itself?
The game itself.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
these tokens don't look. I don't know where you're getting this, Jeff.
That token
The
does
game
not
itself,
look like
sure, I'll buy
Schoolhouse
that.
Rock. If Schoolhouse Rock looked like that, it would have been way cooler.
Yes. And then they went through and they improved all the different scenarios, including all new Automa, and things like that. So they also, and I've never really, it's interesting, I've never really seen anything quite like this in a game. So they have this whole section here on the Kickstarter called The Argument, and it talks about how this is their second game on the British Empire. It talks a little bit about like Pax Pamir, and it talks about this one and how it dives deeper into some of the things that happened in the British Empire and with the East India Company and all of that kind of stuff and empire building. And it actually talks about like how, like a lot of awful things happened in this, and they dive into it, and they talk about like empires are not heroic enterprises, but not comic book villains. Instead, it's kind of more insidious, where it just happens because of thousands of little choices made by many different individuals acting in their own interests and ambitions. And then it goes into, and it even has like their last little paragraph of this. John Company is an uncompromising portrait of the people who made the company and the British Empire what it was. It is as frank as it is cutting in its satire. Accordingly, the game wrestles with many of the key themes of imperialism and globalization in the 18th and 19th centuries, and how those developments were felt domestically. As such, this game might not be suitable for all players. Please make sure everyone in your group consents to this exploration before playing. Which is awesome, because this game is a game that, like, the East India Trading Company and a lot of British imperialism in the 18th and 19th centuries brutally subjugated large parts of the world. And that does come through a lot in the gameplay. And that's something I remember from when I played the first edition. That, like, a lot of this stuff they don't shy away from, and it's interesting when you play this because of the way you do play it, where you're a family and you're trying to promote other members of your family and like keep yourself in power inside the company. You end up like going along with a lot of things the company does, even if you don't necessarily want to, but it helps your individual goals. And it's interesting to see, like, and see and experience like how that could play out even in real life. If only it didn't have so much randomness from rolling dice. I would like it more. But they've got a bunch of other first impressions from a bunch of different people here. Candace Harris, Dan Thrott, and Jess, who does a lot of stuff with heavy cardboard. Dan Thrott does really, really awesome stuff over on his blog, Space Biff. And then I'm not really familiar with Candace Harris, but she does stuff, blogs over on BGG. And then they have a thing from Isaac Childress, too.
Who?
He was hiding at the bottom of my page.
I've never been shoulder to shoulder with that guy at a bar before.
Yeah. It's available on Tabletop Simulator if you want to go check it out. I don't know. I'm torn. I did not enjoy. Granted, I've only played it the one time at HeavyCon, and it was with Paul. So who's to say, But I did not enjoy my play of John Company. Enough so that I didn't even really want a second play. But going through this Kickstarter, I'm like, man, I kind of want to play and try.
All right, you played it with Paul. Who else did you play with?
I don't remember. A bunch of other HeavyCon people. Like, they were people I knew. It wasn't randoms.
Okay.
I just don't remember who all was there.
Gotcha. That's fine then.
I mean, it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was basically another lifetime.
7 years ago.
It was not that long ago.
2017, May 25th to May 28th.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I have one of your HeavyCon bags next to me for some reason.
Oh, that might have been the year before. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I don't know. It might have been the next year. It might have been 2018. But then I think 2019 it was no longer in Denver and I didn't go. And then 2020 it didn't happen for obvious reasons. So I think it was 2018. I'll say it was to the 2018 one.
The 4th annual.
4th. But yeah. So that's John Company 2nd edition.
Divisive.
Man, I don't know why I want it so bad.
I don't understand. It's only $80.
It's only $80.
And then an additional
if
20.
Nothing else, it's got a beautiful box, so it will look really good on my shelf. Kind of like PAX Premier.
Yep.
Which you can also get for $150.
If you want to get them both. Or you could just get PAX Premier for $70 if you don't have it.
Yes.
So.
But then you also want to get the $30 metal coins, right?
I have the metal coins for PAX Premier.
No, I'm talking about John
you're
Company.
talking about a hypothetical person. Yes.
Yes.
Which, see, and that's part of the problem because if I get John Company, I'm going to want to get its metal coins.
Yeah, and that's $110 now.
I know. Just racking up.
Yeah, well, you do. Just cancel the house that you guys are doing on your anniversary, and then it'll be...
No.
And then you'll have the money for it.
That's not going to work. Also, I didn't book the house, so I can't cancel it. So
what you do is cancel it, and then you take that money. Yeah.
Sure. I feel like everything you're suggesting is going to end in me no longer having a fiance.
Probably.
And that's
probably
not something I want to go for.
You will have John Company.
Mm-hmm.
Not worth
but
it.
it means
not worth it. 100% not worth it.
But you could go to Geekway next year.
Thank you for talking me out of it, Zach.
And you could go to the Geekway next year, though. So,
Anyway, so that's John Company 2nd edition. That wraps up crowdfunding / Kickstarters this week. We're moving on because it's already almost a 2-hour episode. Listener feedback. We have an email for the Jeff to read.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us emails like this Andrew person did. Crusoe and variants. I want to applaud Adrian for his diligent and successful work in pronouncing Crusoe correctly. Well done. I also want to...
Yeah, Jeff?
Excoriate?
Yes.
Yeah. Excoriate the author of the notes for the podcast, presumably Zach, correctly Zach, for spelling it Robinson Cruise.
but it's still pronounced Crusoe, so it's still fine.
I just can't win with you people. Andrew. Robinson Cruise.
Yep.
He ties himself to the sides of boats as they launch.
It's
not as impressive as cargo planes.
That is indeed it for listener feedback, however, just that one short email. If you would like to participate in listener feedback, you can get a hold of us by sending us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have an Instagram account @MHGameGuys. Our Facebook account is also @MHGameGuys. Our website, milehighgameguys.com, technically exists, but it's reverted to a free version and hasn't been updated in months. So I recommend you instead go to punchboardmedia.com, where you can see all of our posts for our episodes, as well as other content from the many, many contributors to Punchboard Media. Over there, when you're looking at our content, you will see show notes with timestamps to the different things we talk about, as well as links to things like the news items and Kickstarters that we cover, so that you don't have to like go Google the name of a Kickstarter that we talked about, or if you only heard it in passing and you didn't remember the name, just jump over to the show notes and see the name and a link to the Kickstarter, so you can go check it out. There's also links to things like our Slack channel, which is always a great place to be and interact and talk and chat and carry on and mock sports or weather or argue about whether or not when you roll percentile dice in D&D is 0 on the 10s die and a 0 on the 1s die. Is that 100 or is that 10? You can argue about that and other things. Or you can just hang out and, have fun in friendlier channels. Lots of different channels, lots of different things to talk about and engage with us on our Slack channel. It's definitely where I spend most of my time social mediaing Mile High Game Guy related these days. So highly encourage you to join it. It's free. You don't even need to pay to join the Slack. There's also our BGG Guild. If you want to give us some support over there, that is guild number 2731. And we have our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys, where Mile High Dungeon Delvers streams every other Tuesday. We're not streaming this week, but when you're listening to this on like Thursday or Friday or Saturday or maybe Sunday, depending on how things go, whatever day of the week it is that you're listening to this, because of course it came out on the day it was supposed to release. You just might be listening to it a couple days later. But the upcoming Tuesday, the 13th, Tuesday the 13th, that sounds like an appropriate date. That'll be another Mile High Dungeon Delver stream on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. And then beginning in May, since Jeff is getting his vax shot tomorrow, I'm getting mine in a week, and Zach will be getting his in like 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks after that, aka May, is when we're going to be able to all safely, per CDC guidelines, hang out in the same room together for more than like 5 seconds. And so we're going to start doing some streams of the podcast as we're all back in here actually having to look each other in the eyes when we talk shit, as well as like streams of actually playing board games on Fridays.
That will not deter me, sir.
I have no doubt, but it lends a certain gravitas when you look someone in the eyes as you say fuck you.
Yeah.
Whereas right now I don't even see you guys. We don't video chat. It's just Discord voice chat. You basically are as non-existent as like some random username on Reddit. AK, you're real easy to berate and just be mean to.
That's just you. At all times.
I mean, that's right, because I actually suck at being mean to random strangers on the internet, because I'm like, that's a person.
You need to get that worked on. That's a flaw that people are going to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are all the different ways to get a hold of us or interact with us. I look forward to, and you should also, listener, look forward to us starting streaming again in May. It's been a long year of no, streaming or in-person gaming, and I'm glad that it's almost over.
I have a lot of games for us to play, so...
Yeah, we got a bunch from Gray Fox, and...
Stonemeyer.
Yeah. We're going to have to put together a calendar.
Bethesda.
Plan out. Jesus Christ. Anyhow, speaking of Gray Fox, they sponsor our episodes and are continuing to do so. Their latest game, Eos, Island of Angels, launches on Kickstarter tomorrow, April the 6th, which will be a couple days in the past when you're listeing to this. We will be going...
I was going to say there will be a link for it in this. So
okay, there will be a link in the show notes for it per Zach. So if that ends up not being true, that's on him. We will be covering it in Kickstarter next week.
I'll just cut my stuff out, and you'll be the one that's saying it. So
I have no doubt that you do that all the time. So we'll be covering that in the coming weeks in the Kickstarter segment and having more information about this latest game from Gray Fox and King Raccoon Games. Their previous game, Tsukiyumi, I think we were all pretty big fans of here on the show. So, cautiously optimistic for Eos, Island of Angels. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us?
Of course. Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, All the ICBM silos are closely monitored by military satellites. SLBM-equipped submarines can move secretly, but naturally they are limited to launching from the water. Finally, there are ALBMs, which can be launched from aircraft. They allow for excellent mobility, but are somewhat unreliable. Metal Gear was developed to solve those problems. It can move freely over any terrain, and independently launch a nuclear missile at any target in the world. It completely changes the nature of strategic arms race, and destroys the delicate nuclear balance. It was a weapon to be feared.
Yeah, I don't buy that it's any better than a ballistic missile submarine.
Probably not. It also probably can't go across all terrain because it's like fucking bipedal mech. Go up a fucking mountain, you fucking mech. Nope, not gonna happen, is it?
The submarine I served on had 12 missile tubes. Each tube could, in theory, hold a warhead that had 12 independently targetable nuke warheads on it. So we carried a complement of potentially, if we were fully loaded, 144 independently targetable warheads.
Also
we
known
could
as
blast the Earth on one sub.
multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, like every now and then, like, you know, I'd be out on the sub and it'd be like, we could kill a whole lot of the planet with just this one vessel.
Or we could kill
That's
everyone inside
scary.
a lot.
Oh, well, yeah, there's so many easier ways to do that without nukes, though.
Yeah.
Subs are basically just floating death traps, especially because the U.S. sub fleet is all, like, over 30 years old now.
Yeah.
My sub was built in 1986. It was basically as old as I was. It was terrifying. Anyway, that's the end of the episode.
Well, for
that's
how those carriers in Godzilla vs. Kong held up.
Yeah, seriously.
I am
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not. Oh my god, it's so. I had to just turn off all suspension, or I had to fully ramp up suspension of disbelief to get through that scene.
To be fair, the carrier did like just crumble after the once, right? But the tanker thing that survived multiple jumps, and that was
I
just
know.
fine. So okay. And also being
Oh,
flipped
my
over
God.
and being completely fine too.
Yeah, oh
was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Anyway, that wraps up the episode. Thanks everybody for listening. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Ouchie Jeff.
Bye.
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 Where we all
Bring something
to the table
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.